Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Blue Tron, back with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. So, yesterday I got a second interview at Olive Garden. I did not know Olive Garden did second interviews. Seems like kind of a waste of everybody's time. Like, it's not a fucking Wall Street job. I'm just gonna stand in the front and tell people it's gonna be 45 minutes before you can cram your face full of infinite breadsticks. But for some reason they do multiple interviews. I can't imagine what else they want to know about me, but I assume they've just scheduled a second interview especially for me so they could ask me about my Yu-Gi-Oh career. So in order to prepare for that interview, I have prepared a deck. Let's jump into edit and let's see what we're looking at. So this is a deck I'm lovingly calling GK Fang. That's Gravekeepers Fang for the stupid people among you. If you're not familiar, the Fang of Ciritas is a Kaiba's card from the Seal of Orichalcos arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! That was, I think, the third series, and really exciting premise. Yugi and his friends find a third person in a row who gets off on stealing human souls. It was really a refreshing change of pace for a show that had otherwise stagnated. So, what I like to do when I build a deck is I look at a card, I recognize what playing that card or strategy gets us, and then I try to pick an archetype to surround it that both solves its weaknesses and complements its strengths. So the Fang of Ciritas is going to get us Mirror Force Dragon about 100% of the time. So already we have to be playing a deck that plays Mirror Force, and there aren't a lot of those remaining. However, there are a couple. So I start thinking about how to make the most use of Fang of Ciritas. In order to get it to reliably go off, we have to be able to ensure that Mirror Force or Crush Card Virus are in our hand at all times. I look to a Cataville Omen for that, and I think, oh, there's actually a lot of incidental synergy between Gravekeepers and the Fang of Ciritas. We get to play a bunch of stun traps so that our opponent has a bunch of cards on board that they can't use, meaning we get full value out of Mirror Force Dragon activations. Crush Card is actually kind of good in Gravekeepers because it means they won't be able to beat over our stuff and we can get all the monsters out of their hand. We do have Crush Card targets if we play a Cataville Omen. So I land on this deck. Let me walk you through the card choices. We got one Hieratic because Hieratic is pretty good as a one of. 3 Commandant, we want to see Necrovalley as much as possible, and also this is a pretty good beater. 1 Descendant for problems, spells, and traps. 3 Recruiter. This is being played over Spy just because I like Recruiter just a tiny bit more. Spy is also kind of weird in a world where we are playing battle traps and destroy our opponent's monsters before they destroy Spy, and then we have to flip it up on our turn, and then we've special summoned, so we can't play Card Advisor or Pot of Duality. Then we have 3 Cataville Omen in order to find our Mirror Forces and backup Solemns. We got the 3 Fang of Ciritas, 1 Regreki, 3 Card of Demise, 3 Pot of Duality, that's our draw suite. We got 1 Royal Tribute. Royal Tribute's still a pretty good card. We got 2 Gravekeepers Stell for the +1s. We have 3 Necrovalley because Necrovalley is still a really good card. 3 Mirror Force, 1 Crush Card Virus. These are our targets for Fang of Ciritas. 1 Vanity's Emptiness, the best floodgate in the game. 1 Lose 1 Turn, the worst floodgate in the game. 3 Rivalry of Warlords, a floodgate that is currently one of the best in the game and will soon be one of the worst in the game as we move into the xenophobic format that is the Invasion of Venom. And then we have the old Solemn Buddies. In the extra deck, we got our Fang targets. We got some good rank 4s, including Master Key Beetle, because we're Gravekeepers. We got good rank 3s, and then Cataville Omen is actually rank 2 Beast, so I've put in Ronin Raccoon Sondayu, hoping I can cheese out a win with Mirror Force Dragon. We also have Crumble Logos for an actually good rank 2. So let's jump into the games and see what happens. So no fucking around, our first match is up against Cosmo. This is probably the direction you're going to see Cosmo decks go in the next couple of months, playing multiple copies of Dark Eclipser, probably moving to Card of Demises as well. He's got some gold Sarks in here as well. I think trying to turbo out Dark Eclipser. I'm shocked he's not playing a whole lot of Dark Planet. That seems to be a pretty obvious include for this type of strategy. We've opened not a lot, but we do have a Card of Demise, so hopefully we can draw into something cool. Cataville Omen here is basically just going to try and get us the correct floodgate for the situation. So we get to go first, we set all our cards, and then we're going to activate a Card of Demise, draw 3 cards. We've drawn a Solemn Strike, a Solemn Warning, and another Card of Demise. So we've drawn all 3 Card of Demise, really not what you want to see, but we do have a pretty formidable board. We can stop basically anything our opponent is going to try to do. So they're going to lead off with normal summoning Farm Girl. I figure that's probably not okay. I'm going to warning it right now. And then I'm going to go for my turn. And I draw Royal Tribute. Man, this card is good. So, my opponent has 4 monsters in their hand. They're going to call the Haunted, but I have Necro Valley, and bada bing, bada boom, we got Royal Tribute off. We're going to Caterpillar Omen for Rivalry of Warlords, just because it's okay against Cosmo, better than the other Floodgates, I believe. Probably Vanities would be an alright option too. We are just going to Gravekeepers steal a bunch of beaters back, we Duality, and get a Mirror Force, and then we're going to fire it off. So we have a pretty formidable board. We got a Solemn Strike activated, we got a Rivalry activated, and we got a Mirror Force, and in the unlikely scenario that he Regekis, I can basically just Card of Demise some more monsters to my hand. So he summons Cosmo Tin Can, tags out, and after I Rivalry, and I'm like, wait, you're tagging out under Rivalry? What, do you have a Psychic in your hand? And lo and behold, he does have 1 Psychic in his hand. Thankfully, you can negate the effect of the tag out, so I'm going to do that, and we win the game. So not a particularly, you know, impressive match last game. Didn't really showcase the power of Mirror Force Dragon, power of Gravekeeper Engine. It really just showcased the power of Royal Tribute and why it should probably still be limited, even though the deck it's in is not particularly good. So we open a bunch of cards and also a Caterpillar Omen. He's going to normal summon Mangeline. It looks like he's playing Madolche Perform Pals, a pretty interesting take on the deck. Of course, the card he draws is Chateau. They always have Chateau. We're going to start getting in for damage. I figure Caterpillar Omen can get me Solemn, and then we can attack for, like, you know, 20-something hundred. Next turn, we can Solemn his play and then attack for more, and hopefully we'll just win the game by doing that. He summons Mewfield. We're like, okay, I'll just Solemn Warning it. And then he sets Scales, and I go, what the fuck is happening? But I'll Rivalry. He declares Beast, which means he can really only fuck around with Hoot Cake. He does this so that he can beat over my Hyretic, but he has no way of beating over my Commandant, so I'm pretty excited about that. I figure the Hoot Cake is going to keep going back to the hand, but he can't summon anything other than a beast, and Hoot Cake going to the grave a whole bunch of times isn't a bad deal. Then he summons Ticket, and I'm like, or he uses Ticket, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess we can't even chip in for 100 every turn either. So he's going to hit this set card. Of course, it gets 500 defense, and we're just going to sit on it. My idea is now I need to get the Recruiter dead so I can get Descendant, so I can get Ticket dead. But in order to make that happen, I also probably need to get Chateau dead, or else I'll just Pendulum summon a bunch of guys back, and I'll get overwhelmed. So I'm like, okay, we need Descendant to be able to go off twice in 1 turn. That means we're going to have to draw at least 1 more Gravekeeper to sacrifice 2 Descendant. This is not a once per turn, so if we can draw another Recruiter, we'll be in business. This is the most interactive part of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I really like. Classic pass back and forth. But thankfully we've drawn another Recruiter. We're going to pot a Duality, end up with a Caterpillar Omen, and here we go. We're going to attack our Recruiter into the Hoot Cake, get a Descendant in second main. We're going to blow up as many spells and traps as we can. We're going to start with Chateau, get a Recruiter off of Recruiter, and then get Ticket. He still can't get over the Descendant. Thankfully, he hasn't drawn a second copy of Chateau, which is great. We're going to hit these set cards, knowing that they're probably set spellcasters, and they'll die to the effect of Rivalry. We're also going to hit a Scale. I assume he just doesn't play any low scales, but he actually does play Pendulum Wizard, which is a little problematic. So now we are in Beattown. We don't really want to get all the beasts off his board, because then he can just summon these good, like, fairies and warriors and spellcasters and shit, but at some point we do have to win the game. So we are going to try to beat out these creatures. We have a lot of stun traps, so I figure we're actually in a pretty good position, relatively. He is going to lead with an Angeli. We're going to Solemn Notice it. We are getting pretty low on life points. Don't have enough life points for another Solemn Notice, but we don't have one set anyway. He's going to use Pudding Cess. I'm not concerned, because if Pudding Cess destroys something, he destroys a card, and I know he's going to destroy Rivalry. And so he does that. I'm going to get Solemn Strike off of Caterpillar Omen. We can't play it, but we just got to thin the deck at this point. And wait a minute. Without a Rivalry active, we can use the best card in our deck, the Fang of Ciritas! We're going to hit a fatty Regeki, and there it is. A whopping 10 million points of damage on the back of the greatest card ever printed, Mirror Force Dragon. This game basically just showcases how important it is that Necro Valley exists. We get a Mirror Force Dragon out turn 1 that I'm really excited about. I'm like, hell yeah, Mirror Force Dragon turn 1. Leave Commandant in my hand. There's no reason to do that. And then he Gold Sarks a Chief Priest of Shinrai. Fun fact here, you can Gold Sark under Necro Valley because it banishes from the deck, not the graveyard. Just destroys Mirror Force Dragon. Really fun. Pretty obviously, we would get to destroy all his cards, but he hadn't played any yet. Anyway, he sends Mizuki, and I realize we're just going to win this game. The Banish deck, the Shinrai Mizuki kind of thing, probably can't operate under Necro Valley very well, so I figure that he's in Bernie or Bust mode, where he's got to destroy the Necro Valley or lose. He's going to open, start trying to get the beats in with Samurai Shinrai. We're going to get lose one turn. I figure in a world where he starts Synchro Summoning a million times a turn, that's probably the most important card for him, and I hope he doesn't get it. The rest of the cards in his hand are god-awful, hot nothing. He's going to activate Chief Priest of Shinrai's effect. I'm going to Solemn Warning it just because I have lethal on board, and we're just going to bust him up with a fatty Gravekeeper beats. We're already way over 10 minutes, but I gotta show you this fourth game because it's completely nuts. My opponent is playing Ignites, and we're playing the same deck we've been playing for the last 3 games. We're gonna fire off this Pot of Duality, get a Royal Tribute, and activate the Royal Tribute turn 1, and that's the end of the game. So we're back with the deck. I was really impressed with the Gravekeeper stuff, and it seems really good moving into the next format. We played some matches off camera, including one versus Blue Eyes. That was a giant slugfest I eventually won, but did not get a replay of because the internet here is not particularly good, and we DC'd when we had lethal. It seems like Royal Tribute is still a strong card. It seems like when the top decks are going to be things like ABC and Blue Eyes that are so reliant on graveyards and banishing stuff, Necro Valley is a pretty good meta choice. However, it also seems like definitely the worst card in this deck is the Fang of Ciritas. Mirror Force Dragon wasn't a very good payoff for the amount of investment. Usually we would tunnel really hard on the strategy and not make the optimal Gravekeeper play in order to keep the Fang window open. In short, I was really impressed by every part of this deck, really actually liked Cataville Omen in order to get more Solemn Strikes and whatever, you know, deck-destroying floodgate we could pull out of nowhere, but if I were making changes, the first cut would be the Fang of Ciritas, and I would probably just replace it with Gravekeeper's Spy on the spot. That's that. I hope you enjoyed Gravekeeper's 5th attempt at a rogue strategy since 2001. I hope you enjoyed watching Konami's infinite wisdom at leaving Solemn Strike at 3, and most of all, I hope you just enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give me a like, a comment, or a subscribe. It would really help me out. And if you want to see a certain strategy or deck played next episode, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, I'm just going to play whatever I want. See you Wednesday.